keep this region with them, and if they wanted to expand within India, these are the people that they would have to contend with. These were the people that they would have to incorporate into their own armies. And because of that, a lot of the Gurkhas, a lot of the Garhwalis, a lot of the Kumaunis got recruited in the...
This is how Gurkha came to be an integral part of British Army.
Yes, and until today. Until today, they recruit the Gurkhas. In fact, Gurkhas are also part of the Singapore army. So it showed them the valor of the hillmen. But it was not just the Gurkhas. Once they established the regiment, so Major Young, who was the ADC to the Major General Gillespie, he recommended to the British that we should establish a regiment of the Gurkhas. But these Gurkhas were generally hillmen. They were Garhwali people also, and they were Kumaoni people as well as the Gurkhas. So the first battalion was established, which was called the second King Edward VII's own Gurkha, or the Sirmaur Rifles. It was established very close to Dehradun in Sirmaur, and then gradually the recruitment began, and they realized that the hill people of this region of Uttarakhand, not just the Gurkhas but the Garhwalis and the Kumaunis, were winning them all the battles in the world wars. So because of that, they kept on expanding this recruitment, and then you had the Garhwal Rifles and the Kumaon Regiment and all the other units that were established.
So how have these two regiments, particularly this Garhwal Rifles and Kumaon Regiment, contributed to the Indian military legacy? Please share some insights about it.
So, yeah, of course, that's a very, it's a very, one can expand on that a lot. But, like if you look at the Victoria Cross of Darwan Singh, yes, or if you look at the early the stories of valor of so many other great people even from the Gurkha community. So the early Victoria Crosses were all from these regiments, which shows the kind of valor that they displayed in various theatres of war. And as I said, in independent India and even with British, most of the battles they won for
Indian Army.
The Indian Army. Yes.
So now we come to Dehradun. During the World Wars, Dehradun served as a significant military hub, as we all know. How did these global conflicts influence the region's military infrastructure and personnel?
So yeah, when the British came here, they followed a policy across the board. So they were the Punjab Hill States, which is now Himachal Pradesh. These were very little kingdoms. They were ruled by small principalities ruled by kings. Either they were Devatas, who were divine kings, or these were human kings. Okay. So there were a number of principalities across, like Rampur Bashair, like Mahasu district. So small kingdoms like Tihri itself. So the British generally followed a policy of conquering the kingdom from the from the Gurkhas, and then returning the kingdoms to the principalities, to the kings.
Okay, sir.
So they never wanted to rule over this region. The Himalayas, because they were scared of the Himalayas, the weather was too tough, the terrain was too tough for them. So they never wanted to occupy these regions. They only wanted to control the trade from Tibet. So at this point in time, 1815, 1816, the trade in cotton was deteriorating. There was very little trade in cotton. And the next big product the British thought, which would boost their economy, would be Pashmina wool.
Pashmina, yes.
And Pashmina wool was found in Tibet and Ladakh. So the only reason they came and fought the Gurkha was that they wanted to protect the trade routes from Tibet and Ladakh and bring in the Pashmina wool. So once they had secured that, once they had made treaties with the kings that you will secure the routes for us, we will not bother you. You rule over your kingdoms the way you want.
They were not interested in ruling the principalities over there.
Yeah, because the weather was too tough for them, the terrain was too tough for them. They were not prepared for this. And but when they came to the Doon Valley, they realized that, oh, this place is so beautiful. They fell in love with the Doon Valley. So close to the heat and dust of Delhi. They had never seen a beautiful valley like this. So they decided to keep it with themselves.
And the atmosphere of Mussoorie was very close to European climate, so that's why they liked this place. And
at
developed
that
this.
point of time, it was wilderness.
Yes.
But when they came here, they loved the valley so much. Even with Kumaon, some of the areas they just fell in love with, and they refused to return those areas to the Rajas who were ruling. And so Garhwal was divided into two: British Garhwal and Teri Garhwal.
Okay.
And the British Garhwal, the British occupied, and they started giving it an institutional character. So Dehradun was, their vision was to give it an institutional character, establish the best military institutes, establish the best research
They
institutes.
established IMA over here.
Yes, something like an Oxford or a Cambridge, that kind of character they wanted to give to Dehradun.
Right, sir. Post-independence, how did the military traditions of Uttarakhand evolve, especially with the contributions of the Garhwal Rifles and the Kumaon Regiment?
Oh yes, the military traditions, they evolved because it's a continuous tradition. What I want to stress is that it's not just that the British did this for us, or that.
So we want to know something about when British left this country. How this involved.
So when the British left this country, I'll give you like the 1971 war between India and Pakistan. So there was Sam Manekshaw who was heading the Indian Army, and Sam Manekshaw was from the pioneer batch of the Indian Military Academy. So and a lot of these officers who were fighting the battles in the whole theater, like there was Bangladesh, which was at that moment East Pakistan, and then there was Pakistan, and then there was India. A lot of these officers were actually batchmates. They had studied together, they had been friends, they knew each other's
Even the first general of Pakistan Army was the close friend of Sam Manekshaw.
Yeah. So Yahya Khan, who was the president at that time, he had done a coup and he had become the president of Pakistan. So Manekshaw was almost inside his mind. He knew what he was thinking. They had worked together in Delhi, but you'll be surprised to know that the commander-in-chief of the Pakistani army was also the batchmate of Sam Manekshaw. So Muhammad, I think his name is Muhammad Murtaza Khan. So he was also a batchmate. The Burmese commander-in-chief, Smith Dunn, he was also a batchmate. This is the first batch of Indian Military Academy, which is the pioneer batch. So they're all friends. And they all know each other.
Each other very well.
Yeah, they know each other's habits. They know what is going on in each other's minds.
How they would react in certain circumstances.
Yeah. So this tradition has continued. Even today, if you have the RIMC reunion, the old batch reunions, you have officers from Bangladesh, you have officers from Pakistan, Afghanistan, Burma, all of them coming together. So it has not just contributed to Indian military, but it has also contributed to the whole South Asian military heritage.
Thank you, sir, for these insights about the in Dehradun rich history of valor and resilience. Major Mr. Jolly, my next question is for you.
Thank you.
Sorry, मैंने आपसे बीच में बात नहीं की.
It's all right, it's your format. We have just 6 minutes.
Sir, ये जो कुपवाड़ा कोड्स जो book है आपकी, sir, what inspired you to write कुपवाड़ा कोड्स? And how does it reflect the ethos of the Gorkha regiment?
Okay, so again, we have just 5 minutes. I'll come straight to the point, right? I think the military literature in India lacks storytelling. Most of the books that have been written generally come from senior retired officers who tend to have a very military approach to writing. that is written very factual, which makes for a very interesting read, but it's not a story.
Right, sir.
Yeah, especially of young officers, those who fight the battles, those who are killing terrorists every day, those who are leading the patrols. They generally tend to give military enthusiasts a very structural, organizational, operational review of how a formation or a unit or Indian Army operates. My aim to bring this was that I believe in storytelling. It's a very powerful tool in any culture, any history. For example, all of us don't know when King Vikramaditya was, which century, no, but we know the stories. Shivaji asked, 10% people would know what century, but everybody knows stories. You can take any name from Indian history, people would know the stories, but they would not know which century, which date, birth date, death, etc. Right? That's the power of story. That's the power of narrative. So what I am trying to do is that tell stories about young officers. And since I had operated extensively in Kopara with my unit, and then when I moved from Gurkhas to military intelligence, same valley I operated. So I thought that right from my service, right, I served there for many years,
Yes, sir.
to if I have an award, to my years in NDA, everything is actually one line, 95 to 98 NDA. But I have hundreds of stories to tell, which, if nothing else, would start a culture of storytelling, of military storytelling. I am like just trying to be a drop in the ocean. I'm sure a lot of officers will start writing, all men, military fiction, which actually, and a fiction cannot be too detached from reality. I cannot write कि फिर मेजर मालिक ने राइफल निकाली और चांद को गोली मार दी. It cannot happen. So within the premise of reality, when a story is weaved around and it turns into an interesting, chapter that you can read and you keep moving from step to step, that becomes a. So this Gorkha Garrison is a story that starts with two young officers, so the bonding of young officers. Why in army your senior subaltern is like your elder brother, father, guide, everybody. Any time in life, doesn't matter you're serving or retired, you go back to it. And so that bond, how it is developed, how young officers are groomed actually. We always hear, this is how you are trained to your regiment, how it is done. How do they speak? We have a very Bollywoodish version of, even in storytelling or movies, they tend to over-exaggerate or they tend to stereotype.
They're not much close to reality, actually.
Yeah, that is not. So they tend to stereotype in their own version.
Oh, yeah. It's a kind of, you can say, cinematic liberty होती है वहाँ पर और
Exactly. But cinematic liberty should not go into, I feel it's little denigrating the way they represent us. So I wanted to put record also straight that we don't talk like that. I don't start shouting at everybody when I talk to somebody. Right? I talk very gently.
Yes, sir.
So that is how all officers talk. So this book, anybody who reads, they'll understand how we talk.
Sir, as I went
just
through.
a second.
Okay, sir.
What our jokes are, how we plan, and most importantly for young readers, when media talks about military operations, they put it this way. It's a 5-line script. आज बारामूला में ये हुआ, 5 आतंकवादी आए, 2 जवान शहीद हुए, 1 को गोली लगी, 3 वो मर गए, और so and so report. Exactly 4 lines. So much goes into doing an operation. So much, right from planning to execution to everything, right? So this book has 4 encounters. One in jungle, one in built-up area, one is house entry, and another is finally in Srinagar city also. So I've shown how young officers lead the operation, how they tell which Jawan. So I'm not giving operational details, but they are talking to each other the way it would have happened. So that's what I'm trying to tell here. It's a 3-book series. This is the first one, and so we'll graduate from them solving. So because I could not have said, read my ramblings, I gave it a name and turned it into a story which moves from point to point. So that's what's happening, and I hope you enjoy it.
So as I went through your book, I came to know about the people in the army, that they have their own fears, they have their own apprehensions, and in some situation they react, you can say, like normal people, as if they would be in the same situation. So particularly Danny, the character in your book, he has his own character, own special characteristics, and your second character, whose name is Deepak. So I read about him that how he react in certain situations, how he has apprehensions about his commander. So some human weaknesses are also there.
So yes, I've tried to see what has happened is, and for whatever good or bad, again our primary opinion maker in this country is media.
Yes, sir.
For many years, at least before liberalization, only thing we had was TV and movies. Our mindsets were whatever movie showed, we thought reality is out there. So in that, what happened? We have started to think that every Fauji is a Superman, which is not true.
Yes,
I
sir.
want to do humanize us.
Humanize, yes.
But we also feel bad. We also get hurt.